Welcome back to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. Breaking news, NFL Monday Night Football tonight. Saints win, Saints win, Saints win. 49-24. Okay, this video is going to be about WWE Raw and Superstars and some WWE news. And here we go. Former WWE champion Ivory turned 50 years old over last week, while Hall of Famer Blackjack Mulligan also turned 69, and Tough Enough winner Maven turned 35, and that was on 11/26/2011. Not confirmed yet, but reader Tyler Long sent the following. Hall of Famer Dusty Rhodes will be appearing in a new independent Christmas horror movie called Hell Elves this January. The campy movie video follows a small group of rogue elves who turn on Santa Claus. They kill everyone and put their body parts in jars and give it to kids as presents. Rhodes briefly appears as a grandfather to one of the children, running out of the shower nude and confronting the elves. Yeah, he's running nude. They probably get an ass shot. So, as they come down his chimney. The scene was filmed earlier this month. The movie called Hell Elves hits iTunes and Netflix on January 17th, 2012. And is scheduled to be released on DVD sometime in early 2012. What a late Christmas movie, huh? WWE has signed Lingerie Football League star Danielle Monet to a developmental deal. She debuted last week as a manager for former ECW personality Abraham Washington. Monet expressed interest during the media interviews earlier this year in becoming a WWE diva, and has tweeted about being a fan. Besides playing in the LFL, she also has a degree in marketing. And I have seen some of the one or two of the episodes of the LFL, and she just happened to be playing that night, and that was on one of the ESPN networks. Okay, regarding Skip Sheffield, that's Skip Sheffield's Facebook page, he was tagged in a photo by a fan who ran into him earlier this month at an auto shop in Florida. The fan says Sheffield told him he will be returning to WWE TV under the name of Ryback. Well, if you're not familiar with Ryback, if you watched some of Steven Seagal's movie, that was his name as the cook in Under Siege series. Sheffield was removed from the Raw Superstar page earlier this week on WWE.com, and this indicating that the character is gone and done with. WWE recently applied to trademark Ryback, which suggests that he will be repackaged with a new character upon his return from injury. Prior to assuming the cowboy persona in WWE's developmental system, he appeared as Ryback, an indestructible Terminator-style character built from the future. Okay, Brian James, a.k.a. Armstrong, if you're former known as Road Dogg, who now works as a producer for WWE, stated it during a recent shoot interview that not only has the organization paid to put him in a rehab center, but has also paid for all of it, at least one stint for all three of his brothers, being Scott, Steve, and Brad. Scott is the referee, Scott Armstrong, that is currently refereeing. He returned to the organization in February 2011 after being released 1 year prior. Steve recently competed for WWE in 1992 as Lance Cassidy. Brad was under contract to WWE in 2006 and 2007. He made sporadic appearances on ECW as a guest commentator. Former WWE talent Sean Christopher Hare was arrested. Age 40 right now. Was arrested last Wednesday afternoon in Savannah, Georgia, on a simple battery charge According to the official website at the Chatham County Sheriff's Office, bond was set at $1,850. Okay, now this is not the former WCW World Tag Team Champion first run-in with the law. In 1992, Sean O'Haire was arrested for assault. In 2006, Hare was found guilty of assaulting a woman at Club Hypnotic in June of 2004. He was also involved in a fight at Hilton Head on March 30th, 2007, in which he sustained fractures to his face and skull, including his orbital bone, in September 2009. Hare was arrested for allegedly choking his girlfriend. Word that WWE Japan is advertising the following card of this past weekend for this coming weekend, a house show in Yokohama, Japan. After they leave was after SmackDown tomorrow night, the live showing of SmackDown. Kofi Kingston and William Regal were advertised. Well, they've been scratched from the competition and removed. Kevin Nash, who was scratched, is now replacing them, but the card does not show him as a competitor for any of the action. There's 2 nights in Japan. The matches are scheduled as CM Punk versus Alberto Del Rio for the WWE title, John Cena versus The Miz, Big Show versus Kevin. He is penciled in, Kevin Nash. Big Show versus Kevin Nash. Kelly versus Beth Phoenix for the Divas Championship. Mason Ryan and Zack Ryder tag teaming versus Ziggler and Swagger. Alex Riley versus Primo. Santino Marella versus Drew McIntyre. So why send talent to a country if you're not using them in talent purposes? I call it bad business decision, wasting money with transportation. Coming out of SmackDown, WWE has a new backstage interviewer with an interview with Booker T discussing the Intercontinental Champion Cody Rhodes. Booker insists he does not want to return to the ring to face Cody because his wrestling days are over. Booker says he has put that life behind him, and it's all about focusing on a new generation of stars. This is all part of the storyline, as Booker is scheduled to return to the ring soon. And I believe he's coming out with a DVD himself. Well, Daniel Bryan revealed on Twitter that his new ring gear was designed by award-winning comic book artist Jill Thompson. WWE star Paul Big Show White spoke with the state website about growing up in Aiken, South Carolina, which borders where I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, and going on to become a WWE superstar. And he's quoted by saying, "I remember seeing Arn Anderson walking in the back of the township arena and thinking that was the meanest looking man and that I have ever seen in my life," said White. And he's also quoted, "Now years later, he was one of my dearest friends and mentor. It's crazy how things work out," unquote. John Morrison is not re-signing with WWE, and this tonight's episode of Raw showed his departure from WWE in some type of injury, but they are very similar to how R-Truth is going for his 30-day suspension. And he's going on with his future endeavors, and probably given 90 days by WWE standards, he can use his John Morrison character maybe after the 90 days, or he can go under a new name and start tomorrow night's tapings for Impact. Tonight's Raw is expected to be John Morrison's last night with the company before his contract expires later this week, according, I think it's the 30th of this month. Well, here's a script that they were running through regarding this. They were going to try and put Brodus Clay in a match against John Morrison, but did not work out because what you will hear is Miz taking Morrison out on the stage tonight in their match. Okay, we learned after speaking with sources that the debut of Brodus Clay is supposed to happen tonight. Did not happen. As a segment with John Laurinaitis on the phone, he was talking to Brodus Clay and wishes him good luck for next week. So again, another pushback for another week. Clay's debut has been delayed all of the month of November due to the Raw scripts being heavily rewritten. One source said to me that there's no chance of Clay not appearing on tonight's show. Well, guess what? He didn't show. He might have been there, but no action. And I've also read that Brodus Clay's debut could be tied into with the on-screen departure of John Morrison. It seemed that it would take place, but he wasn't on the show. And Clay is set to have an impressive showing over John Morrison, which did not happen, and they redid it in tonight's last appearance of John Morrison in WWE. Speaking to sources, I heard there was at least some consideration at one point of an official match not even taking place. Well, it didn't. Rather, Clay would be brutally beating down Morrison before the match officially begins. Well, that actually happened with The Miz instead. It seemed that the idea is not expected to happen, as WWE officials want Clay to have an official victory and be able to show off his in-ring abilities. So they went with the Miz storyline script tonight, as you will hear in the report. Paul White also recalled not being sold on the Big Show name that Vince McMahon gave him. It's like any nickname you were given as a kid, he said. You don't really like it at first, but the longer it goes, the more you become accustomed to it, so it just fits. I can't even think of being called anything else now. He doesn't even answer to his real name. I am the Big Show. You can view the full story at thestate.com. Big Show appeared on WLTX 19 News in Columbia, South Carolina, which is about 80 miles from Augusta, Georgia. On Monday morning, to promote the Raw show, they aired footage of the Big Show being the station's player of the week for high school basketball, and noted he also played tight end in football. You can watch the piece at WLTX.com /news /water cooler /article /161071 /363 /the big show stops by news 19. Show seems to be having a good time during promotional appearances in his home state, but he looked a little tired for this morning's appearance. He noted that he poked company officials about being part of tonight's Raw event because it's in South Carolina. Show also addressed his worst injury suffered in the ring, in his kayfabe mode, and arm wrestled one of the show's hosts in a second clip, which is also on that site. Okay, John Morrison addressed his status for tonight's Raw show by his Twitter page, quoted by saying, "I'll post more about the future next week," unquote. Morrison wrote on Sunday night, quote, "Right now I'm planning on tearing the house down at Raw tomorrow in Columbia, South Carolina," unquote. Follow John Morrison at twitter.com, The Real Morrison. Morrison is not advertised for any dates beyond tonight's Raw. His character was written off by Zack Ryder's online show in a Vince McMahon-like limo explosion last week. All signs point to Morrison finishing up with the WWE tonight. Well, I seen some of Zack Ryder's stuff last week, and I didn't see anything with Morrison on there. Especially not knowing what explosion Morrison was on his show, getting everybody to vote for Zack Ryder and what have you. But nothing other than that. Jeff Katz's Wrestling Retribution Project is releasing daily photos of characters that were created for the group's first TV taping, and you can check out the new look and character for MVP at geekweek.com. There are now 6 first look shots at several of characters that you can also access at Geek Week. The promotion was previously listed as the Wrestling Revolution Project, but the name has been changed to Wrestling Retribution Project. Former WWE diva Trish Stratus told Slam Wrestling that she would like to do another season of Tough Enough. Quote, being a coach on Tough Enough was a perfect role for me to come back in, unquote, Stratus said. And she's also quoted, it fit perfectly with my schedule, too. We were out filming in California for about 2 months. It was perfect, and to parlay some of the knowledge and experience that I gained over the years and help these young kids who are pursuing their dreams, it was really cool. To read the full interview, visit slam.canoe.ca. Stratus also stated that she is hopeful that the show will return with the WWE Network debuting next year. I agree, if it does, it should be on that network. I could definitely see the show airing on the WWE Network, but I wonder whether USA Network would have to sign off on it, given that they aired the latest season of the show. Trish also discussed her new Stratosphere Yoga DVD that can be purchased at trishstratus.com. WWE star The Miz spoke with Chris Van Vliet of 19 Action News in Cleveland, Ohio. He spoke of idolizing The Rock and wanting to outshine him at Survivor Series. And he's quoted by saying, I've outshined him now, Miz said. Miz was asked whether he would have gone to TNA if WWE had not been interested in him. He said no. He answered, I've always loved WWE, from Hulk Hogan to Ultimate Warrior to the Rockers to Demolition to the Legion of Doom. I was always a WWE fan, even with WCW and ECW. I was not a WCW fan. I liked the ECW rather than WCW, but WWE always was my number one. You can view the interview at youtube.com/watch?V MT-WFGCMA8S. And I might save that link and post it tomorrow night. It's an episode of SmackDown. Miz also spoke about CM Punk and admitted that he didn't know how much of his material is scripted. He praised Punk for that and was highly complimentary of him. He also boasted that he and John Morrison were responsible for giving Zack Ryder his first online break by putting him on the Dirt Sheet online show. He praised Ryder for being on the cut list and saving himself. Miz also spoke about why he prefers the safer in-ring style and said WrestleMania 28 is the biggest ever because The Rock versus John Cena. He was also asked about his favorite venues to perform in, how much sleep he gets each night. The very cool Miz Fest event that he holds for friends, his favorite match, whether he's interested in UFC and more, a fan interview that runs over 11 minutes in length. WWE star John Morrison was blown up in a limo explosion during the Zack Ryder's latest episode of The True Long Island Story, and you can view it on that YouTube account. The True Long Island Story. Morrison is advertised for Monday's Raw only and nothing beyond that. It appears that there is a way of writing off his character on the show. Now, who will Zack Ryder's father idolize? Ryder also has had some fun with all the WWE We Want Ryder chants that took place over the last week. WWE taped Raw portion of this week's Superstars tonight from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. Here are the results, not much. Dark match, Alex Riley defeated Drew McIntyre. Superstars, 2 matches, Santino Marella defeated JTG. Primo defeated Kofi Kingston. What? Yeah, Primo defeated Kofi Kingston. Okay, what we've all been waiting for is the Raw results. Tonight's Raw Super Show opened up with Michael Cole welcoming us to Columbia, South Carolina. Cole is joined by Jerry the King Lawler. They show clips of from CM Punk versus Alberto Del Rio at Survivor Series as Lawler hyped the rematch tonight. They go straight to the ring. Out comes Hall of Famer Roddy Piper to Piper's introducing Piper's Pit. Piper wonders how a guy who never won the WWE title, who wasn't ever the biggest or strongest, has become a Hall of Famer and one of the biggest icons. The answer: energy. Piper talks about how the crowd cheered him. He did good things. And when they booed him, he did rotten things. Piper goes on and brings out John Cena. Cena comes out. Says he has no idea what Piper is talking about when he says energy isn't important to Cena. Piper wants to play name association. He says Stone Cold Steve Austin. Crowd pops real big. Well, not much real big. Then he says Bret Hart. Well, they pop again. Not much. In fact, it was a little bit weaker. Rock. He says The Rock. Well, they cheered for The Rock's name a little bit louder when he did the Stone Cold name. And he says Cena's name, and he got a mixed reaction from the crowd, which was about the same as The Rock to me. And to me, it actually seemed like it was piped in there anyways, again. Cena says he sees what Piper is trying to do. Piper says he's trying to help Cena. Piper talks about how the fans wanted The Rock to rock bottom Cena at Survivor Series, and when he did, they came unplugged. Then a small boots to ashes chant started up. Cena says he has been dealing with this his whole career. Cena talks about the C Nation knows what he stands for, and he is extremely loyal to them. He says you can't please everyone, and says the fans can do what they want. Piper says Cena is the face of WWE. He's the man, but the booing starts getting a little bit louder. Not much of a actual real crowd reaction. Piper says Cena is losing it, and if he doesn't suck it up and tell the fans what he really thinks, Cena will be the loser at the biggest WrestleMania in history. Cena says Piper is going overboard. Cena talks about various moments in his career where he's been booed or cheered. Piper tries to cut him off, but Cena keeps going. Cena says The Rock had one great night. That's it. Cena points out 2 kids in the front row, which are real young, and says that they're having the time of their lives. Well, one kid just has his head almost like on the guardrail. The other, a little bit older kid, he's doing in a red Cena shirt. Okay, back to the what was happening. Cena points out the 2 kids in the front row that they're having a time of their lives. He talks about he made 3 Make-A-Wish families happier earlier today that he met earlier, and the National Guardsmen in the crowd. Cena goes on and says he knows he can beat The Rock. Piper says he is proud of Cena and goes on about how Cena is here for WWE every day. Piper puts in his Hall of Fame ring in Cena's hand and says if he doesn't get it right with the fans, he's going to be in denial and ruin his chances against The Rock. Cena appreciates it, but doesn't want to take the ring. Piper slaps Cena and tells him to feel the energy. Cena gets pissed, gives Piper his ring back, and shakes his head, walks off as we go to the announcers. Then they show a replay from last week with The Miz turning on R-Truth. Then we see Alex Riley and John Morrison backstage talking as we go to commercial. Miz and Morrison is up next. Not much of a match, but Morrison did have some offense in it. Falls Count Anywhere match. Back from the break, Morrison coming out as he's on the stage. Miz attacks him from behind and takes him out. Miz wails away on Morrison's knee and walks to the ring as the trainer check on Morrison. Morrison has his right leg injured as Miz was taking some type of pipe and nailing the side of Morrison's right leg as he made it to the ring and told the ref, yeah, he can do it. Well, he made it to the ring. Miz is looking on. The bell rings and Miz goes for the leg. Morrison dodges it, unloads with right hands. Miz kicks Morrison's leg out and goes to work on it. Miz uses the ring post on Morrison's leg and brings the kendo stick out from under the ring. Miz hits Morrison with the leg in the leg with it. Morrison ducks another kendo stick shot and clotheslines Miz. Morrison grabs the stick and attacks the Miz. Miz flees to the floor, but Morrison follows and hits him with a kendo stick. Morrison with a 2 on the floor. Miz crawls up the ramp and Morrison follows with the stick. Miz grabs Morrison and throws him head first into the big W. That's on the stage. Miz lays Morrison out with skull crusher finale on the stage. Miz goes to pin for the pin, but the referee won't let him and calls for the bell because Morrison is knocked out. Very similar to Daniel Bryan. And when he cashed in for the money with his money in the bank, but Teddy Long says he could not compete. He cannot win the match. He can win the championship. So the winner of the match and the loser leaving WWE, John Morrison. After celebrating, Linda Miz takes the mic and heads back to the ring as they load Morrison up on a stretcher. John Laurinaitis comes out and looks over Morrison and just walks to the back. Miz says last week it was R-Truth. This week it's John Morrison. Next week we'll see. Miz says that there's only one superstar that can make this thing kind of impact, this kind of statement. This person is him, The Miz. He says he can do it because he's awesome. And they go to commercial. Bella Twins versus Alicia Fox and Kelly Kelly. Well, back from the break, all 4 divas are in the ring. Kelly starts things off for her team. Beth Phoenix and Natalya come running down around the arena down to the ring in workout gear, which is nothing but black tights. They jog around the ring and right back up to the back as Kelly Kelly and one of the Bellas go at it. Comes down to Alicia Fox and one of the Bellas, which I believe was Brie Bella. Alicia hits her leg drop finisher for the win. Well, this was a little bit more than her leg drop finisher. It was a little bit different. She actually did a flip with it. A full flip with a leg drop. Perfectly landing. Winners of the match, Kelly Kelly and Alicia Fox. More hype for Punk versus Del Rio tonight before we go to commercial. Back for the break and we get Vignette for Sheamus. Well, there was a dirt sheet comment on there that they plugged a part 2 Vignette for the January 2nd, 2012. Somewhere in that little segment with the divas in there, which I did not see, but I looked on YouTube and I might just go ahead and place it on there on tomorrow night's episode. John Laurinaitis and David Otunga are backstage talking about Brodus Clay. Laurinaitis was actually on the phone with him at this time, and they're commenting about Brodus's next week thing. And Laurinaitis says the longer he holds off on his debut, the more anger he has pent up. Laurinaitis then says he is doing Brodus a favor. Alberto Del Rio walks up. He says what happened at Survivor Series was a setback, and he will walk out tonight as WWE Champion. Well, Punk walks in and mocks Otunga. Laurinaitis and Del Rio for what he found about them when Googling their names. Punk says that the WWE title isn't going anywhere. Otunga says that sounded like a threat and implied Punk will get himself intentionally DQ'd tonight to retain the title. Laurinaitis said if Punk gets DQ'd, he will lose the title. Then we see Dolph Ziggler and Randy Orton heading to the ring as they go to commercial. Back from the break, Wade Barrett comes out for commentary. Randy Orton versus Dolph Ziggler is up next. Out comes Randy Orton to a big pop from the crowd. Out next comes the United States champion, Dolph Ziggler, with Vicky Guerrero. They lock up and go at it. Orton takes Dolph down first with a headlock. Orton floors Ziggler with a clothesline. Ziggler counters next and rolls Orton up for a 2. They go back to lock up again, and Dolph strikes. Orton turns it around and sends Dolph to the floor. After a big clothesline, Dolph comes back in. Orton controls the match, getting another 2 count. Back and forth action. Orton tries to come in from the outside, but Dolph drop kicks him onto the apron. Orton falls back to the floor as Barrett smirks at him. Dolph brings the fight to the floor and works on Orton before rolling him back in for a 2 count. Dolph stomps away in the corner, but Orton turns it around. Orton with big uppercuts. Dolph counters with a neck breaker and a 2 count. Dolph keeps control and goes to the top. Orton meets him with a right hand. Orton climbs up and brings Dolph back to the ring with a big superplex. Orton with a 2 count as they go to commercial. Back from the break, Orton trades shots with Ziggler in the middle of the ring. Orton rocks Ziggler to the top ropes and kicks him in the chest. Orton with a pair of clotheslines and a scoop slam combo. Orton hits the second rope, draping DDT. Orton readies for the RKO, but Ziggler rolled out of the ring and goes to leave the match. Barrett gets on the apron, and Orton drop kicks him. Readies for the RKO, but Ziggler rolls. Okay, Orton drop kicked him. Ziggler ran in from behind and laid out Orton for the win. After the match, Vicky announces Dolph as the winner while he shows off doing a headstand. Well, if you're not familiar with Ziggler, he was Mikey with the Spirit Squad, and they were all cheerleaders, so I guess he's still got some cheerleading experience and uses his show-off cheerleading moves. Okay, next up we have more hype for tonight's title match as we go to commercial. Back from the break, Michael Cole is in the ring with Daniel Bryan. Bryan wonders if maybe he is just some of Cole's respect now, and mentions winning the 4-way last SmackDown. Cole keeps calling Bryan a hypocrite for trying to cash in on Mark Henry when everybody has done it in the past. Also when Mark Henry could not compete. Cole shows us what happened on SmackDown with Big Show laying Henry out and then Bryan catching in. Like all the other Money in the Bank winners have already done, but why are they now complaining about Daniel Bryan? Stupid to me. Well, and then only to have the match overturned by Teddy Long. Cole talks about how funny it was when Bryan's dreams were shattered. Cole thinks Bryan should have been stripped of his briefcase and suspended. Cole says Bryan disgusts him so much and he's nothing but a hypocrite. Cole hopes Henry tears Bryan apart tomorrow night on SmackDown. Bryan says he's planned to cash in at WrestleMania, but those plans changed when Henry tried to end his career. Bryan says that the briefcase doesn't guarantee him a damn thing. He saw an opportunity and he took it. Bryan goes on about the world title when Henry's music hits. Henry comes to the stage and says Bryan should be ashamed of himself for trying to take advantage of him. Henry says Teddy Long should be ashamed for booking him in a match also when he's half injured. Half injured? You're either injured or you're not, to me. Henry says it's okay, but because he's the world's strongest man, he will defend his world title in a steel cage tomorrow night. Well, Bryan leaves the ring and starts walking up the ramp as Henry keeps on running his mouth. Henry says Bryan can't beat him. Bryan walks up the ramp and kicks Henry's foot. That's in a protective boot. Bryan says, "We will see tomorrow night," and walk to the back. Then they hype more for tonight's WWE title match. Back to commercial. Next up, Zack Ryder versus Jack Swagger. They lock up and Swagger slams Ryder to the mat and shows off. They lock up again and go to the corner. Ryder fights out with right hands. They run the ropes and Ryder takes Swagger down with a forearm. Swagger hits a belly-to-belly suplex for a 2 count. hits a bunch of right hands as the referee backs him off. Swagger slams Ryder and drops a big leg drop for a 2 count. Ryder comes off the top, but Swagger catches him and drops him over his knee. Swagger runs the corner for the Swagger bomb, but Ryder tries to trip him or something. Dropped to a hole probably. Swagger tries again, and Ryder puts his feet up. Ryder hits the Rough Rider for the win. They go to commercial at that time. Back for the break, we get a replay of Piper's Pit from earlier. Then Mick Foley comes out dressed as Santa Claus to promote tomorrow night's SmackDown special. Not much of it at all. And he's does his have a nice day at the end. Okay, backstage, CM Punk is stopped by Josh Matthews and talks. Matthews asks about the stipulation that Laurinaitis added to the match. Punk says Laurinaitis can kiss his ass. Punk walks off to the ring as we go to commercial. WWE title match. Alberto Del Rio versus CM Punk. Back from after the break. Ricardo Rodriguez introduces Del Rio. Out next comes WWE Champion CM Punk to a nice reaction from the crowd. They lock up and trade holds. Del Rio goes to work on Punk's arm early. Punk takes Del Rio to the corner and tosses him right back out. Punk works on Del Rio's arm now. Del Rio turns around and takes him down with a headlock. Del Rio with a 2 count and more focus on Punk's arm. Punk makes a comeback and clotheslines Del Rio to the floor. Punk suicide dives through the ropes and takes Del Rio out on the floor as they go to commercial. Back for the break. Del Rio lands a 2 count on Punk. Del Rio goes back to work on Punk's arm and takes him to the mat. Punk gets a boot up in the corner, but comes off the ropes, and Del Rio moves. Del Rio with another kick for a 2 count. Del Rio with right hands on the mat now. Punk fights Del Rio off and gets caught in the backbreaker for a 2 count. Del Rio with more focus on Punk's arm. Well, looks more to me a shoulder than an arm because he's actually holding it like right there. And what have you. Punk makes a comeback for a 2. They trade punches and kicks now. Punk with a series of kicks. Del Rio comes back with rights. Punk with a heel kick and a neck breaker for a 2. More back and forth, very slow action. I'm going to give this a kind of match like Shelton Benjamin versus, I would say, Kane from ECW match. Very slow. This match was almost like John Morrison's entrance. You know, the slow motion when he goes real slow. And that's about how slow the match went. Okay, more back and forth action with a pin attempts. Del Rio blocks the GTS, but can't get the pin. Del Rio with a big right, big kick to the back. Del Rio unties a turnbuckle pad as the referee wasn't watching. Well, he actually caught him with his back to fix it. Well, Del Rio throws Punk a chair while the referee is attending to the pad that eventually does fall off. Trying to get him disqualified, Punk throws it back to Del Rio and drops to the mat like he got hit with a chair, acting it. Well, so it looks like Del Rio hit him. Well, the referee goes to DQ Del Rio. Punk rolls Del Rio up for a 2 count, but Del Rio kicks out. Punk also kicks out at close 2. Ricardo gets on the apron and argues with the referee. Del Rio goes to throw Punk into the exposed turnbuckle. Punk counters and drops him onto the exposed turnbuckle and then hits the GTS for the win. After the match, Punk celebrated and hits Ricardo Rodriguez with an attitude adjustment since he's just sitting there arguing with the referee and what have you. Well, Raw goes off the air with WWE Champion celebrating. And that ends the show. Well, here's some, if you want to see the actual thing, as they said in the report, WWE had a second online video that touts the return of a wrestler for the January 2nd edition of Raw. You can watch the new video at youtube.com/2nd2012. That's not number 2. It's typed SECOND 2012. Well, here's some comments on the video. Some people commented on Dirt Sheet about the new WWE vid concerning January 2nd, 2012. One comment said, "Maybe overthinking this, but while it looks like an Undertaker teaser, the verbiage has me thinking it's Chris Jericho teaser, designed to look like an Undertaker teaser to throw people off the scent." Well, Steve Carrier from several different Dirt Sheets, he says, "I'm calling it now. After watching the second Mystery Man video, it is leading me to believe that they are trying to make it look like they are going to bring back The Undertaker. However, I think the video will be much more than that. I think, somehow, if more videos do come out, it will set up Chris Jericho versus Undertaker for WrestleMania this year. That's my prediction on where things are going." Well, here's my decision. I say I didn't see it myself, but I did see the video on YouTube, and there's no discussion on who it was, who it will be, or anything. All it was is they were showing a kid, and there was a quick bleep. There was another girl sitting on a shelf or something in a classroom, the type of atmosphere, and the kid was talking, and it was the kid that was actually writing stuff down on his notepad. You couldn't actually read what it was saying. So I am saying I'm not giving the decision because there's not enough evidence to put the blame on anyone or who actually done it or who it actually is. Well, like Steve Carey said, it could be 2 different people. And I'm leaving it at that. You can comment on my videos and that youtube.com/2nd2012. The video is only like 46 seconds long, so just take it from that. Thanks for viewing, and y'all can hear me tomorrow night or watch me tomorrow night's episodes of spoilers from SmackDown, NXT, Superstars, as well as your TNA spoilers for next week's episodes of Impact Wrestling. Thanks for viewing. Peace out. God bless. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. See y'all later.